Hi folks, this is Meredith from the Papery Craftery, and today we are making some striped flowers, sort of no-name nondescript flowers, but we're adding stripes, which is just a fun technique to try. So I'm going to be using two different colors. I have a fuchsia, nice bright pink. This one is from Craft Harbor, and then I also have some black. They are both 1/8 inch wide, but you can use whatever width you like. As far as quilling tools go, I am going to be using my Savvy Slotted tool from Quilled Creations, but I do have my needle tool here, but that is just for the handle that I'm going to show something later. And I have my usual Elmer's glue all in my needle nose container, and also some tacky glue because I'm going to be molding these petals to make 3D flowers. If you're concerned about your glue showing, sometimes it does on black paper, go ahead and grab some clear glue, and that will kind of ease your mind about little gluey bits later on. I do have also my workboard covered in parchment paper, some tweezers, small scissors, and pins. That's just to hold down the paper. Like I mentioned a second ago as well, we're going to be molding these flowers. I've done this a lot, but I like to flip my mold over and use the inside. And I'll mention some alternatives to that later on when we get to that part. So first up, we're going to grab our pink paper. You can do this with any length of paper you like. You can do this with any color you like. I just kind of wanted to show the real bright contrast between the pink and the black for this project. So these strips happen to be 22 inches long. I really just want 3 pieces that are going to be the same size. So to make life a little bit easier, I'm just tearing my strips in half, and 2 of the shapes are going to be the same, and then 1 is going to be slightly different. We're going to start off with the 1 strip that's going to be different and on its own, and I'm using my slotted tool to roll that up, but like I said earlier, you can use a needle tool, you can use an automatic quilling tool, whatever you like. But we're going to roll this all the way to the end, take it off the tool, and let it open up naturally. This project actually came about after I found a picture online of a really pretty black and white quilled flower, and I just love the contrast of the two together. You don't see black a lot on flowers, so I figured I would kind of make my own spin on the same idea, but using different colors, and I completely changed around the shape of the flower, but the vibe is the same. Adding black to make some stripes just makes a really graphic, beautiful flower petal when you're done. So here I have my coil all glued and sealed. So I'm going to give a large pinch on one side just to make your standard teardrop, but then I just want a small pinch on the other side, sort of a long diamond shape. So we need 1 of those, and then the other shape is going to be 2 of the same. I have the other half of this paper here from the strip I tore earlier, and just like before, we're going to roll it all up all the way to the end and take it off the tool, let it open up, and seal it just the same as we did for that diamond shape. But you do want to kind of get the 2 coils to be about the same size. I've done enough of these that I can sort of eyeball it, but if it makes you feel more comfortable, go ahead and make all the coils you need first, just to make sure they're the same size, and then start shaping them, because if you're shaping them, sometimes it's hard to see if they're going to be the right size. So you can do all your coils first and then start making your shapes. For this side, we're going to do a half moon, so just a nice pinch in the middle, and then 2 points on either side, bending it around your finger or a tool. I like the size of this handle on my needle tool, so push both sides without pushing down the middle too hard, and you'll get a nice half moon shape. Now we're going to need 2 of those and 1 of that diamond shape, and that's going to be for each petal. For this flower though, we're going to have 5 petals. So altogether you're going to need 5 of the diamonds and 10 of the half moon. This one's got a little bit opened up, unhalf mooned, if you will. So you can readjust those if need be, but they should stay for the most part. Here we go. So that's enough for one petal. And you can go ahead and make all your other pieces. And then we're going to start adding in the stripes. And adding stripes is really as simple as wrapping the pieces that we just made with a little bit of black and then a little bit of pink. So to do that, we're going to start with the diamond piece. Add a small line of glue down one side. I find it easiest to do one side at a time. And then you're going to lay your black stripe across the glue. Just get it molded down there so it's adhering completely. Just like that. That's what you should have at this point. And then we're going to add a little bit of glue to the other side. You really don't need a lot here, so those needle nose glue bottles are very, very handy. Wrap it around the other side and make sure that's secure. Then I'm just going to do it again. I think for my taste, I thought 2 wrappings ended up being perfect. One was a little bit too subtle. Any more than that, you know, it's up to you. But you'll see at the end what 2 looks like. And it worked for me. So after I get the second side of the second wrap kind of measured, I snip that off and then I glue that to make sure that I don't accidentally take it off while I am snipping it. So that is the black stripe. And then I'm going to add pink in the same way. If you want to, you can always change this up. You know, obviously don't use black. You could use any colors you want. Don't use the pink. You could use whatever colors you want, but it also might be cool to wrap it in a different color altogether, maybe a darker version or a lighter shade of that same color you started with. That might look really cool, give it sort of an ombre look. You have a lot of options for this technique, and it's just a nice way to add some extra detail to your flowers. So here we go with the second wrapping of the pink. And there we go. Snip that end off. This time I did glue it first. It's all good. So if you don't manipulate your shape too much while you're wrapping it, it should all stay the way you want it. And there you go. There's the diamond. And you're going to do the same thing with those half moon shapes as well. Every piece that we made already, for those 5 petals, you're going to want to wrap 2 times with the black and then 2 times with the pink. So that's all done now. We can go ahead and start putting our petals together. So we're going to be making 5 of these exactly the same way, starting with our center, which is that long diamond shape. The peak that is more shallow, the smaller part of the diamond, is going to be facing the bottom. And I put a little bit of glue down most of, not all, but most of that diamond shape. And then I just laid one of my half moons right on top and just sort of molded it into place with my fingers. The arc that I made on my needle tool when I molded it around that handle did make it a little bit too deep, but I still liked the curve of it, so I kept doing it. If you do this with your fingers, you might not have to mold it as much. It might fit a little bit, a little bit more nicely. But what we're looking for is those 2 half moons just sort of molded around that diamond shape. And the point of the diamond will be longer on one end. That's what you're looking for. You want them all to line up on the more shallow end of the diamond and then it to come out a little bit on top. You also want to make sure that you really pinch the heck out of those bottoms. If you don't, you might have a hard time having all 5 of these in the flower shape. So if you find that you only have 4 of the petals fitting together in this next step, go ahead and pinch them a little bit more and you'll be able to fit that 5th one in. Now I just showed that we're going to be using the tacky glue for this part because we are going to be molding these flowers. And tacky glue is really great because it will hold the petals together while giving us a little bit more time and some more flexibility to get this into a sort of a 3D flower shape. You don't have to do this part. That is the molding part. If you want your flower to just be sort of flat, that is totally fine and definitely useful for a lot of projects. But if you're looking for more of that natural looking flower 3D shape, you might want to follow along to this part here. So I'm just adding a little bit of that tacky glue to the bottom of each of the flower petals and then fitting them together into that star shape. You can also use a toothpick for this method or something to get a little bit less glue. That will also work. This is a little heavy on the tacky glue side, but I decided to go straight from the bottle just to show what it could look like. You can also brush a little bit of extra glue away, or I'm going to go in with my needle tool here and just get rid of a little bit that's coming up here. Okay, so note it does still have a little bit of a hole in the center. That is totally okay and expected. We will cover that up later. Now you're going to let this set for just a few minutes. You do not want it to dry all the way or else you'll have impossible time molding it. I'm going to remove this light pink one here. That's one I already had molding, and gently remove it from my board. It's going to stay together, but it hasn't completely set yet. There's still a little bit of time for this to be able to get a new shape. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I'm using the upside down part of my quilling mold for this. I find it really just makes nice little cupped flowers. It won't stand up by itself, so I kind of have to get this pin box on the other side here just to make it level. I put it right on top of one of the domes, and then I'm just going to use something just to weigh it down. If I have time, sometimes I just use my hands, but for now I'm just using the end of my glue bottle, and it's just enough to make it have a slight cup, a little bit of a 3D shape. You don't have to do that part. You can also use a lid of a jar or a small glass bowl, anything that's not going to stick if some of the glue happens to get on there, and you'll be able to remove your flower, but still has a little bit of that kind of mold shape to it. You can use anything you have around the house. It'll all work the same. At this point, we are making the center of our flower while our flower sets up in the mold. And all it is I have 6 inches of the black, and then I glued 3 inches of the pink, and then another 3 inches of that same black, end to end. I'm going to roll it on up into a tight little dome, and it's going to kind of be the inverse of what we were doing on the petals. So instead of being mostly pink and a little bit of black, this is mostly black with a little bit of a pink contrast stripe in the center. Very simple shape. Rolled it all the way through. It didn't let it open up on the tool. Not going to let it open up in my hands. Just add a touch of glue to the end and get that to set. I did decide to dome this just a tiny bit, just by pushing in one side. If you want to leave it flat, that's totally up to you. There we go. You can use a tool for this if you want to. That will make it maybe a little bit more even than what I just did, but for the sake of time and ease, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the underside, and then it's just a matter of plopping it down on your flower. You can add a little bit of tacky glue or Elmer's glue to the bottom to make it stick. Now at this point, everything is dry, and you can see it's got a nice little curve to it, just like a flower opening up on a vine. And I have some other colors here, definitely in my pink era, with the light pink and a little bit of this kind of, this is another sort of a variation of fuchsia, I suppose. But you can see, you can tell the black lines quite a bit more than they were when they were in pieces. The overall look together is a lot more graphic, a lot more modern. It almost looks like, to me, sort of like a comic book style. It's got those really strong black lines and nice bright pop of color. Just really pretty technique that you can use your imagination, let it run wild, be creative. This is just a starting point. But as always, if you have any questions about these flowers, leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I will leave links to everything you need in the description box for this video. There'll also be a link there to my Buy Me a Coffee page where you could find some quilling extras and leave me a little bit of extra support if you wish to. That's always greatly appreciated. In the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be around for the next video, and I'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.